When I first started playing drums in the early 90s, the generation that preceded me, in every interview I read, was talking about how the Beatles' performance on the Ed Sullivan Show on February 9th, 1964 essentially gave birth to an entire generation of drummers. Nearly every interview I read, every drummer I spoke to cited seeing Ringo and the Beatles playing on the Ed Sullivan Show as being the reason why they played drums. For a generation of cyclists my age, it has to come down to the Tour de France coverage that was on Channel 4, which started in 1985, exactly when I started watching the Tour de France, when I became really hyper aware of it. Phil Liggett's voice, Paul Sherwin's commentary absolutely captivated me, and it wasn't just the sound of their voices that got me and also all the people that watched it. It was also Pete Shelley's incredible music that we had in the introduction to that TV programme. So back in April last year, and I can't believe it was only last year, so much seems to have happened, myself and my eldest son Zach, who played the parts of Jeff Williams, who was the cyclist in that introduction, basically shot by shot recreated that original Channel 4 theme intro, complete with Pete Shelley's music, and Pete Shelley was from the band the Buzzcocks. And so when I decided to do my own grand tour this year, I thought I'd try and somehow pay some sort of homage to that theme tune, but I didn't want to use it all the time. Mitch Docker, who's a pro cyclist, has an amazing podcast called Life in the Peloton, which I'd highly recommend you watch. I'd highly recommend you listen to. He uses that theme tune for his podcast, and he has Pete Shelley, Widow's permission to do that. Now, I thought it wouldn't be right to use that piece of theme music, so I asked one of my oldest friends, one of my greatest friends, Mark Whitlam, fantastic drummer, incredible composer, if he could simulate something similar to Pete Shelley's original music. And what you saw at the beginning of this program is what he wrote. All the same kind of Yamaha DX7 sounds, similar kind of structure and arrangement. He's done an amazing job of it, even getting to the point where we discussed this idea that something that always stuck in my head at the end of the theme tune was this inclusion of Frere Jacques that they kind of wove into it, which kind of almost sends sends me into goosebumps. Mark managed to weave in Alouetta into the end of the theme tune here. I'm so pleased with what he's done, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it as well. So I'm off for my my final osteopath appointment today with Steve, who has been a constant in the last 6 months really of training. My friend Zara, who an astonishing woman, she is a world record holder and a I forget what it is that she holds the records in. It's speed sailing, and it's some astonishing speeds that she holds the records in. She owns a company called the Walnut Grove Clinic, and she was in touch with me right from the word go about supporting this challenge that I'm going to be starting in 9 days. And she said, you know, one of the most useful things she could offer me would be some regular osteopath appointments. And I have been to see her and Steve before when I've been injured, but I've never actually ever been for any of these things as often as many of us often do. I haven't ever really been to see an osteopath or a physio or a soft tissue therapist when I've been not injured, and it's been quite a revelation actually to be able to turn up each week and say this is what feels a bit sore, or this is where I'm feeling a bit of tension, and to get it worked out. And I do think that it's no small measure actually how much these regular appointments have kind of helped me out, considering the mileage has been ramping up, and I've felt pretty up together throughout the whole thing. So I would highly recommend doing what I've been doing, and I am going to plan to continue to do what I've been doing with regular appointments to go and see somebody with the kind of the prehab thing as much as I possibly can. So a heartfelt thank you both to Zara for offering this, but also for Steve for getting his hands on me each and every month. And we'll go and see what Steve's gonna put me through today. It's mainly, unsurprisingly, my legs, but also my shoulders. A little bit of tension starting to creep in my shoulders. although hopefully that will disappear with the slight adjustment I've made to the handlebars. Chris Newman, the bike fitter, who I know, one of my good mates, who's going to be on stage 1 with me, really good time trialer and a fantastic bike fitter, noticed a slight discrepancy in my handlebar angle, and I've shifted it up a touch, and it might allay some of the pressure that I'm getting on the back of my hand here, and possibly on my shoulders. We'll see what Steve's got in store for me when we get there. It's my last one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I thought I'd say thanks now, because in about 5 minutes I'm going to be calling you every name under the sun. You know, the love-hate relationship that you and I seem to have.
Well, you love me, I hate you.
Exactly that, yeah. God. Did you get it?
I need a second shot.
Oh, God. Well, I think you found something in there. I am trying to relax. They're quite sore, unsurprisingly.
Oh, what a shock that is.
Nah.
Why might that be?
I don't know. Thank you, Steve.
My pleasure, mate.
I'll see you on rest day.
All the very best of luck.
Got the hair done, legs are shaved. It's Thursday night, so tradition suggests that you're not supposed to shave your legs the day before a race, but I think that's going to be quite tricky to do throughout the 3 weeks. I do wonder what the pros do, whether they wait until the day before, rest day before doing it, and how much of that tradition they actually stick to. But I'm pretty much ready to go. Went out on the bike earlier today just to spin the legs out. Tomorrow morning I'm going to head out on the TT bike for about half an hour just to make sure everything's working okay on that, and then do another hour or so on the road bike and make sure everything's good to go and that the legs are working okay. And then Saturday morning it will be time to head off. Just as a kind of bit of an overview to begin with about what the rides are to kick off with. Obviously the first week shouldn't be too taxing. Essentially I've kind of done a week like that already, where I've done 100k days each day, and it shouldn't be overly terrible. If it is, I'm really stuck. It's going to be the second and third weeks that really start to bite, particularly a third week when I head into Brecon and the elevation really starts to kick up and down. So I'm going to break it down into little bits, because on stage 5 it's the time trial, which I'm treating as a bit of a rest day actually, because A, it's only a short stage, and secondly I don't have to go all in on that one and destroy my legs. I can actually ride around the Castle Combe TT circuit fairly sedately. So really the first 4 days, I'll break those down for you now quickly. Essentially it's 2 hilly days and then 2 flat days, and as the Tour de France itself will show, normally we have a bit of a sprint stage or a prologue at the beginning, and it's quite unusual that we'll get a couple of hilly days. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the pros, whether we see somebody like Alaphilippe or Gilbert or somebody, one of the rollers, kind of getting into the yellow jersey early on, which would be quite interesting. Same thing for me really. I've got 2 rides of 116 and then 113 kilometers with around about 1,000 to 1,100 meters of climbing on those 2 days, and then a couple of flat stages of 113 kilometers, and then 94 kilometers where the elevation is around about 500 to 600 meters. So nice and flat for those second days, and then we're into the TT. So fingers crossed, first 4 days shouldn't be a problem going into the time trial at Castle Combe. But ultimately, what will be now. I haven't really done a huge amount of training per se over the last 2 weeks. Sort of doing the Brecon stuff and then a few rides here and there, but ultimately what will be, and we'll get to where we get to. I am going to say a big thank you to all of the people that have helped me out throughout this as we go, and I'll try as much as I can to say thank you individually to the people that have helped me out, but we are talking in the tens of people, like 20, 30 people that I can think off the top of my head that have just contributed in a small way or in a really big way, but has had a big impact on what I'm doing. We're nearly at £7,000 now. The secret target has always been 10 grand. Whether we get near that, I don't know. We'll have to see what press I might pick up throughout the actual tour itself. I'm hoping that as I go through it and I start to succeed, maybe the word will spread. If it's something that you think you could maybe spread the word on to people that you know and get the word out there a bit more and maybe get me a bit more coverage and a bit more press, I would really appreciate you sharing the videos or the Facebook updates or whatever it is that I'm putting out there that you think you might be able to spread. I would really appreciate that. But as it stands for now, I'm going to leave you with a bit of footage from tomorrow, which is a bit weird, but a little bit of footage of me riding tomorrow morning, because as of that, the end of that ride, I'll get the video edited and up. And then we'll kick off with the daily vlogs, which will be a day behind, as I've said before. When I get back from the ride, I'll put the video together, export it and upload it to YouTube overnight. So you'll see my Saturday ride on Sunday morning. That'll be going up on YouTube. Anyway, here we go, and thanks for all the lovely kind wishes and best wishes and thoughts and all of the stuff that you guys have sent me over the last 6 months and, well, 3 years of being on YouTube anyway, but the last 6 months particularly, when I sort of decided this was going to be a bit of a challenge to try and stick to. Thank you for all your help, and I will see you on stage 1.